Alright, hello. This is gonna be a bit different of a video that I usually do. This will be a small discussion video talking about Valkyr. So, Valkyr here is getting a rework. She is the topic of the town right now after the latest dev stream, and a lot of people are either molding or praising the rework, and there is simply no in between. I will start this by saying one specific thing that I think most people have forgotten about it. The rework is not in the game yet. We are super early to judge this rework and how it will play out. Everything is subject to change. So I'm not sure why we're getting conclusions already, even if we haven't playtested the thing yet, just because we're like, oh, they removed this, it's dead. Basically. I really don't understand. So let me go a bit in depth. So first of all, I'm a player that has devoted around 7,000 to 8,000 hours on the game through multiple platforms. I have been playing since 2016 on my PS4, and now I'm a well over 7-year PC player as well. And I have two accounts that were both late game viable. Back when I used to still play PS4, it was late game viable, and this one actually did make it to late game viable, and I have two more accounts that have properly finished the game. So I have experienced the new player experience multiple times. I have experienced it throughout many years, and I have experienced iterations of Warframes that have gone by a lot of times. Like Valkyr when she was meta, or when she was really strong rather, or 3 iterations of Siren, you name it, I've been through it. The point is not this. The point is what we're doing to Valkyr. So current Valkyr, if I can move the camera over to this side instead, the 4th ability, compared to the rest of her kit except her 3, and the augment for her 3, does not make sense. Her 2nd ability boosts your armor and attack speed. Your 4th ability makes you invulnerable. Your 1st ability is more or less useless. You subsume it anyway for another damage ability to make your 4th ability more useful. Her 3rd ability, outside of the augment, does not really do much for the rest of your kit. The 4th ability also gives you lifesteal, which, again, doesn't really do anything for you. And in general, it's a bit inconsistent. So, D said, well, let's remove the invulnerability so the rest of the abilities make sense, buff the 3rd and the 1st ability, and give quality of life changes to the 2nd that are super huge, by the way, I will talk about this a lot, and then make her 4th ability give you invulnerability only if you die. Great. In my opinion, this is great. Now, the main issue that there is with this invulnerability and everything is depending 100% on numbers. So let's look at the rework directly. So, passive. Valkyr accumulates range when killing enemies, increasing her melee damage, which is absolutely nice. This is kind of what I did, but instead of giving Valkyr melee damage, I gave her parkour velocity and I gave her armor on my initial talk. This gives her melee damage, which, once again, berserker frame, melee focused, this is absolutely a thumbs up. And then she consumes her rage, if above 75%, to prevent death and become invulnerable briefly. Now, I will say that 75%, if it's kind of hard to get to 300%, if you need like 30 to 40 kills to go to 300%, 75% is close to 25 kills, which is, oh wait, sorry, close to 30 kills, which is a lot. So, it's not ideal, basically, what I'm trying to say. But, 2 things that the people forgot. First of all, death prevention has no cooldown. Simply return to 75% rage to prevent death again, and Valkyr has 3 seconds of invulnerability. So death prevention having no cooldown is something that they're keeping. But the number of the 3 seconds of invulnerability and the number that you need to get to activate it can be tweaked around to make it easier to achieve. If, for example, we're playing Valkyr on really high levels, and on really high levels the enemy absolutely one-shot us once the invulnerability is over, then this will not make sense. But if, for example, you needed 75% damage, like melee damage instead of rage, and then the invulnerability was 5 seconds instead of 3, then you can trigger this endlessly as long as you're active. which is way better. It's way better in terms of design. It promotes being active and aggressive on your gameplay, and it promotes Valkyr just going absolutely berserk, which is something I love. In general, so they have buffed everything. Every ability is buffed, including her 4, despite her 4 losing the invulnerability. The invulnerability from her 4 is not gone, it's just moved to the passive. The way it's moved to the passive may currently be a bit weak, but if you increase the numbers to make it in line with what it could be, then it could be strong. And that's why I'm saying very early that we are way too early to judge this Warframe and this rework. Like, this, what I'm seeing here, this is really cool. And the fact that you can double jump after you're using Ripline, that is really good. The fact that you can group enemies when you use it, that is also really good. Now it says 7-meter radius. This is not a lot, yes, I know. But obviously, once again, you can tweak this. This is a number. Most of the issues around her rework currently are not design flaws, they are number issues. That's what I want to get at. This, in my opinion, is a very good direction for the rework. It's a rework that takes advantage of all of Valkyr's abilities instead of mainly focusing on Hysteria, and it also makes Hysteria, like, the combos are actually good now, which is great. If we look at the Hysteria combos currently, 100%. These 4 combos are all terrible. They are terrible. This is great. Although the heavy attack is kind of inconsistent, it can still hit for tons of damage if you actually hit it. Same with this. The slide attack, which is what people spam mostly, is absolutely nuts. You see, it's like 300% spams for 6 times each attack. It's crazy. So, buffing these is something we needed. Is it not? Who uses these combos when playing Valkyr? Seriously. The last combo that people use when playing Valkyr is the aimed at downed enemy attack, which deals 54 times Valkyr's damage. And I will get to that, but give me a second. So, overall, the whole rework, in my opinion, is great. The second ability is now made so that you can easily snapshot ability strength from temporary buffs. For example, let's say you have Mold Augmented. You suddenly reach 250 stacks. Okay, now I want to recast Warcry, but I'm using Internal War. So I either have to find a nullifier to go into his bubble and then recast it, or I have to fall off the map, which both of them are not ideal. Now we can recast it. Okay, great. Allies also don't have to be next to you when you cast it. Simply re-entering the affinity range of Valkyr will give you Warcry again. So this makes Valkyr, in a team environment, this makes Valkyr absolutely amazing because it just gives free attack speed and free armor to the team. Although free armor is not that great, free attack speed, that's great. Why not? That's great. In a meta, especially when Slam gets nerfed, the meta will become heavily melee influenced, and Valkyr's Warcry will become an absolutely godlike ability to have. And Valkyr having the original Warcry, not the Subsume, is great. So I am not sure why we're judging this rework so hard. The changes, and most of the changes, are great. The one change that I will agree, and I don't like either, is how the slow from the second ability is moved to the third ability. The third ability, first of all, costing 50 energy is a bit too much, but once again, number. D can easily make this 25 and call it a day. That doesn't matter. The issue I have is that, first of all, melee damage vulnerability. Okay, decent idea. It doesn't really matter too much because Valkyr already deals increasingly ludicrous amounts of damage when combining Prolonged Paralysis with her 4, which is ultimately one of her strongest combos. So, I don't know if you know what Prolonged Paralysis does. I don't think many people do. But look at this. When you're using Prolonged Paralysis, everyone around you, like even if I go here and I cast it, everyone behind me will be affected. But it groups all enemies together and then they're knocked down and they stay there for a while. So now I can ground finish them, which is great. As you can see, it immediately took me to 12 times combo. Amazing. So what happens with this when you activate Hysteria? Well, the enemies take like a billion damage. They are absolutely one-shotted. This guy had armor strip and it still took me 3 hits to kill him with a fully built Hysteria. You see how low the damage is compared to like other stuff on her kit? If I slit attack or heavy attack these targets, this deals way more damage, and the most efficient thing that I can do is simply use prolonged paralysis, wait for them, then ground finish. And this directly kills all of them. So yeah, the paralysis changes are the only ones that for me completely miss the mark, because this is really not needed. And well, the slow being moved to paralysis is really weird. Like, I don't think anybody really cares when prolonged paralysis already does this to enemies. Like, why do I need the slow if it does this already? You feel me? That's kind of what I don't get. However, it made it so that prolonged paralysis, when they're affected by an electric, a heat, or an impact status effect, they will now be dragged normally, which is a good bug fix that obviously, I mean, it should have been fixed ages ago, but we'll let it slide. But, you know, in my opinion, the most of the issues are regarding numbers. And for me, because of the slow, I wanted the slow to stay as well when I talked about my rework. And I think what I did for the slow is I either moved it to the 4th ability, where, you know, the 4th ability, it has a circle. You see this circle? I made it slightly larger, and enemies in the circle are slowed and they deal less damage to you. So that was kind of my idea, to make Valkyr tankier while giving her the passive to increase her base armor by a lot. So yeah, overall, I think the rework has potential. It is really good conceptually, and I think it kind of has number issues. I think the changes to Valkyr's health and armor are absolutely great, and Valkyr will have a really good EHP of around 50,000 without much, you know, much buffs going on. Just simply triple Umbra mode and whatever. That's literally 50k EHP, which is great. And then you can add things like Omamori, you can add things like adaptation, you can have teammates buffing you with Laser Shield, Chroma, whatever, you name it. This is a really good direction to start having something different for once. Health tanking in Warframe is considered kinda dead, and I like the direction that DE takes to try to revive it, because having a health gate onto the Warframe like Nidus has, but while also the Warframe has shield innately and extreme tankiness, is a really good way to go about it. So I think this is in the correct direction in general. I think you can still make it better. As you can see on the screenshots, this is where you get the invulnerability period currently, which is not great. If it's 50%, then that's fine. If it's 25%, that's perfect. Overall, maybe you can make it one invulnerability at 50 and another one at 100%. We'll have to see. All of these are number issues. Overall, big fan. I've talked with Amulistic around his incredibly large community post, to be honest, and I've also not really talked to Umbral Nova about this, but I've read through a lot of stuff. I've seen a bit of sci-fi's videos, just going left and right. I don't know why it says I've only watched this. I've been watching till here almost, but whatever. That doesn't matter. What matters is I've seen a lot of people comment about this. A lot of people, you know, just doesn't make sense to me. As long as the invulnerability stays normal, like as long as you don't press 4 and then you can AFK, then I'm fine with it. This having an invulnerability and having your whole warframe play around you pressing 4 and doing nothing is not great design. Valkyr in her current state, design-wise, does not work with the pacing of the game. And that's why I thought she wanted a rework. And that is why I'm also really happy to see this rework, because the pacing is increased from the changes to her first ability. Now, this isn't perfect as a rework, but I still have, you know, a lot of good stuff to say about it. The war cry changes, the repline changes, the hysteria changes, the new passive, all of those are really solid ideas that can be reinforced upon with better changes. So, you know, remember this line over here? And if the rework comes out and it's actually dog shit, then yeah, just go ham at it and pray for more changes. For now, let them do their thing. They will probably change stuff just like they did with the Pseudo Exalted rework and all of the stuff that we've seen them change from time to time again. And at the end of the day, when everything is said and done and the update comes out in June, we'll see where Valkyr actually stands. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you learned something about the character or you're open-minded about it. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you like this idea of the rework? If you have issues with it, what are your issues with it in general? And I'll try my best to interact with most of you.